Nerdchachos, how's it going? Thanks for coming along again today. We're back in Planet Zoo for another episode of our series Building Our Zoo Roars and Claws. And in the last episode, this is what we were building, our giraffe habitat. And we were focusing mainly on the viewing area, the surrounding areas of the pathways, and this building at the back, which houses all of our restaurants, our facilities, a couple of education items, and also our feeding area right at the back, where the giraffes can go and chill out. And there's a walkway inside the building that you can go and watch the giraffes being fed and sleeping and stuff. So yeah, that's what we were looking at last episode. So this episode, we're going to be focusing mainly on this area here, which is going to be our panda exhibit. So we're continuing this theme of more exotic animals along here. And again, this is going to be another modern building. I think I know what I want in this area now. I just need to see how this exhibit works out to know what space I've got left here. And just like all of the other builds that we do, it's going to be done in stages, updated as we go along, rather than doing it as a more of a let's play time lapse. And that's purely because of the way that I build. You'd be absolutely sick by the time you end up at the end of the time lapse, because I'm not a steady builder. I like to move the camera around. I like to change my mind. I like to be indecisive. So just like all of the other builds, we'll update it in stages, and you'll get to see what happens along the way. And then at each stage, I'll talk you through what I've done so far, how I've built things, how I put things together. So without further ado, this is probably a good time to do the first update. So here you go. Hello, future me. Well, hello, past me. So here we are, about an hour and a half later, and we've got an update for you. And this is where we're sitting at the moment. So we're continuing this modern theme that we've got going on throughout the zoo, in the sense that we're using black steel and black pillars, lots of wood going on, and slanted roofs, and a bit geometric in shape and whatever. So I had this idea of this dogleg version of a panda exhibit where the viewing area is only one side, and the pandas have then got lots of space around to have some privacy and to sort of get away from everything. They're all right with humans. They're all right being looked at with humans, but in zoos and in real life, they don't do very well with being bombarded by human contact. So the idea with this is that we're going to hide them away as much as we possibly can behind glass and keep them all private, and then give them some space to go and escape if that's what they want to do. And because this is going to be an indoor exhibit, I'm also just going to build an outdoor area as well, so that they can go out and they can get some fresh air. They're not just stuck in all the time. And this is just where I'm provisionally putting the boundary fence. I think I'm going to bring it right the way across and just have a full back part where it's going to be open, and leave it that way. So we're dealing with this sort of look here, and the inspiration for this is taken very much from the Birmingham Zoo entrance, in the sense that this is very sort of dog-legged. Theirs is a bit curved, and they've got an awning out the front rather than the slanted roofs. But I've decided to use the overhanging slanted roof because we're using it everywhere else, so it's just that consistent. It's that consistent design. But inside, I've gone for this rather clean, rather modern-looking sort of barrier, if you like. It's the black pillar, but this time I've used the Asian stone pillars, just to give a bit of sort of variation to what we're doing with the wood at the front and the stone at the back. But we have to be careful with the pandas because they climb. So a lot of the stuff that I use here, in terms of separating pieces and whatnot, these are all wooden beams and they're all climbable. So if I were to use them here, the pandas would be able to climb up and they'd be able to escape through the roof. For some reason, they don't register that arch-shaped roofs are fully inaccessible. They don't fully enclose an enclosure. They escape through the points. So you have to be careful with what you're doing when it comes to the pandas and anything that climbs. So I've used all non-climbable materials here. So the plaster pillar, arch shapes to separate, the wood log, and then the stone pillar support here. So they definitely can't climb out. They definitely can't climb up. But then we're going to need to give them some sort of climbing options inside here. And because of the height of this exhibit, I want to do a second story overhang that's just in this area here. So you've got the slanted roof that comes up, and then you've got a second story behind it so that we can put trees and we can put climbing things. But then we're also going to include climbing items and trees and whatever outside in the outside area as well, just at the back. So that's the plan. That's what we're working towards. So this is where we're at the moment. This is where it sits on the skyline. So you walk through past the giraffes, and you see the panda habitat right in front of you, and then you can go in either doors and you can go and have a look. So that's it for this update, and I will see you for the next one. Ah, look who's moved in. Then they're so cute. They're just so like meh. So we've got ourselves a male and a female. I don't know which one's which actually. I did just check and they've now since run. So we've got a male and a female. Hopefully we're going to have some babies, which would be cool because they do wonders for the zoo and they're actually quite cute to watch. I've just done because the pandas are really low maintenance to look after, but they're quite high maintenance in terms of setup. So I've just done some real quick terrain work just to keep them happy. No plants or anything yet. No climbing, no nothing. But I've checked their traversable area, and they all seem really happy with everything. There's no escape points, nothing going on that we should be aware of. And so here's the build so far. So it's starting to take quite a lot of shape. I'm just putting in all of the supports and the pillars and things at the moment, a little bit like you would in real life. When you're building, you start with your support structure, and then you start fleshing it out from the inside out. So we're still sticking with this slanty roof aspect, and I just need to sort out what I'm going to do with the roofing here. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go yet, but it's fine. But I've added the second story so we can have some trees and whatever in the middle, and I've decided as well that the top of this is probably going to be some sort of glass. So I just need to flesh out how that's going to look. It needs to be a skylight. We need to let in lots of natural light, and we need the ability to be able to open it as well in hot days, just to give the outside in. I've also started the process of facilities, so I've added a vet, a keeper hut, and a staff room. And some power, because we don't have a vet over this side. So if any of the giraffes or the pandas get ill or sick or need treatment, they actually need to go all the way over here where we've built our other facilities. So I've now got that this side as well. And we need to consider putting a quarantine when we build the backstage area behind the giraffes as well. I've extended the outside area as well. Just want to make it a little bit bigger for them. Now the habitat is way bigger than they need, but that's good. We like that aspect. And then I've just done a little bit of terrain work in here as well. So I'm going to put some rock work up and hide this, because they like to bury away and they like to sort of have different variations of terrain and whatever in their habitat. And then I've just built a concrete shelter just for them to hide away in. Obviously, when this is all going to be roofed over, their hard shelter requirement is going to be more than fulfilled, but we still need to create some sort of local hard shelter for them, just to chill out and just to sort of sleep. And I've also put some heaters in here as well, so that when it does snow, we can keep them warm and we can keep them sort of dry and happy. And they do seek shelter as well when it snows, because it's already snowed and they have already sought shelter. So that's where we're at the moment. I like this idea of this plaza area. Going to keep this as rock. Put a couple of trees in, and on the skyline, it's starting to come together as well. It's not intrusive. It's not imposing, but it's just nice. It's a nice colour as well. The actual building itself is coming together quite nicely as a colour. And oh, look at that! Just in time for the rain. What a surprise! So yeah, that's where we're at the moment with the pandas, and they are relatively happy. So the next update will obviously be some more progress. Look what happened! We've got a baby! Look how cute! Hello? They are so beautiful. So beautiful. So we had a baby, and we are loving it. Look. Aww. So beautiful. Anyway, that's not what we're here to do. Really, is it? We're here to look at the build. No, let's look at the pandas some more. Oh. Ah! Yes. Sorry, I get excited. So here we are with our build. So I've topped it off with a roof. I just realised I put lights where they shouldn't be lights. Better fix that. Yeah, so we're topped off with roof. We've got some glass in the front now. There's a bit there that I need to fix. So we're now pretty much how we want the building to be in terms of structurally and how it's going to sit on the landscape. It's all right actually. This bit in the middle was a bit of a pain because of the width here and the width here. They're slightly different heights, so this has had to be on an angle. But the principle of filling in this triangle bit is the same as doing the rotunda style stuff that we did for the giraffes in the previous episode here. You just do the triangle and lift it into place, and then put it to the right angle. So it actually looks good. I decided not to do anything fancy with the overhang for a couple of reasons really. Firstly, this is quite a big building, and I think the overhang would be solid. And secondly, I didn't want to overdo the idea of having fancy overhangs. I mean, we're using it everywhere, so sometimes you just need to keep it simple. And I wanted the front of this building to be quite open and quite like clean, and so I've kept it that way. There's no frills to it. It's just the wood. It's just the beams, and it's the overhang on there. So and then if we come inside, not much has changed other than the fact that we've now got some kind of scape going on. So I've put some skylights in to the customer area just because the sun goes down and it comes through. So it's good to have the daylight. Without them, the area is way too dark, and that's not what we're going for. We're going for light and area, not dark and dingy. And so I've put the boards up, so they're all educating guests about our pandas. I just need to do some more things along here. But again, we need to be really careful with what we use because they climb. The pandas climb and they escape. So anything that we put along here needs to be unclimbable. If that's even a word. Is that a word? It's going to be a word now. And then I'm going to put some education items and stuff in here and just decorate along the way. But again, I'm going to keep it nice and simple and put some floor down. And then I think that's going to be this area pretty much done. And then inside the habitat, this is coming together quite nicely. So again, we're now completely roofed off. So we have a flat roof. I've put some lights in just to make sure that it's well lit at night. And they've now got a climbable area. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing to write home about, but it's climbable, so it gives them something to do. They don't actually need any climbing area in the game. They don't need to have anything like that, but they do like to climb. And so the next phase is vegetation. Put some rock work down, and I just put some rock work down in here as well, just to make it feel like it's a bit of a cave. And I've started the process of trying to hide the concrete, but I don't think I want to completely hide it. So I'm going to sort of leave it to be a bit exposed, and that's purely because they climb on the top. So because they climb on the top, I've also put this anti-climb along here as well. So just in case they do find a way that they can get up to the ceiling, they now actually can't. This actually stops them. So this is all along the back wall. And it's the same principle actually that I used. Here he is. It's the same principle that I used on the flamingos as well. Not that the flamingos climb, but I just used it as decoration outside of the flamingo habitat. So I've just decided to do the same. And I've intentionally kept this gap at the top here. And I think the gap needs to be a little bit bigger actually. But the idea is to aerate the exhibit. So you see this quite often in zoos where you'll see like a gap at the top and it just lets the air in, but also to accentuate that, the circular wall pieces also do the same. And then I've just put some arches in as well. So the idea is we need to keep air flowing in here as much as possible, otherwise it's going to get sterile, because pandas are stinky. They are proper stinky animals, but they're so cute with it, so it's worth it. And then we've just got this double height area that I've put in, and again it's roofed off and it's got some skylights in just to bring the air in. If the sun is out and it's warm, you can open them up and then it brings the light in when it's not. And the idea of this area is we're gonna be able to put some trees and stuff in, vegetation in, and we needed some sort of sky high thing area to be able to do that, so they're not poking out. So I think we're nearly done here. Actually, it's just almost like touch-up work that we now need to do just to make the habitat as it is. There's no water requirement for the pandas. There's no official climbing requirement. What we do need to be aware of, though, is they also, just like the giraffes, they also eat the trees and the bamboo and stuff. So we just need to be careful about what we put, how much we put in, because they will eat it. But that's fine, because we can just replant. So, but they don't eat it in game, obviously. So that's, oh, and outside, nothing changed outside at the moment. That's my next bit. It's to actually start the process of landscaping and touching up. So this is how it looks from customer side. It's very what we wanted. Very flat glass. And then the elephants will be over here. And then I think what I want to do, I know I mentioned it at the very beginning, but now this is coming together. I want to do either some sort of monkey exhibit, where this is the viewing area, a glass-fronted viewing area, and it looks back, or peafowl as an aviary, a glass aviary that then goes back. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. But I want to get this done, obviously, and elephants, and go around this way first. I need to decide how this is going to pan out and what this area looks like when it's busy and stuff. So anyway, that's enough for this update, because this is the biggest one, the biggest change. So the next one should be even bigger again. And here we are with one finished panda house. So inside we've got our 3 pandas, and I've done a lot of work on the outside here as well. And I've also done a little bit of work over to the left, just to get a feel for how this bit is going to look. Still don't know what animal's going in there yet, but I just wanted to finish off this plaza area and get this underway. Because I needed to know what space I had outside the panda house to be able to decorate and put some foliage and stuff in, and know whether I needed to put tables in and things like that. So over here I've just literally thrown some rocks together with a few viewing windows. Like I say, I don't know what's going to be in here yet. Not a clue. So anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the panda house. Yeah, so I made a couple of changes to the actual structure itself. I did this canopy. It felt, when I was looking at it from a peep view, it felt like it was too exposed. It needed something just on the sight line, just to give it a bit of interesting nature, especially as just round the corner you can't see it. Just around the corner, you've got the gift shop with the pointy roof, and opposite that, you've got the modern-looking giraffe building. And this was just stuck there, and it was this bit on the right-hand side that did it. And all I've done is I've just extended the roof out and put some pillars down, but it actually creates quite a nice new sight line. It's not just path, building, sky anymore. It complements the terrain and the hills in the background. So yeah, I had to think about what I was going to do, because I didn't want to complicate it. I didn't want to go all out with an awning across the front. I just wanted to put something in just to accent the roof slightly. But we're now done. So I've done this plaza area. Used the same stone work as all of the other plaza areas, and like I say, I'm going to touch this up and make it look better when we build whatever's going to be in here. And so I've just put some benches and whatever. Oh, don't walk through the plants. God, I've just put some picnic benches and everything out the front, and seating as well, so that you can watch the giraffes. Right, look at the pagoda from here. And I did this idea of a flower bed out the front. It's just the support pillars, the Asian support pillars. I've used them everywhere else, but I've used aloe vera in the middle, and I used aloe vera because of the smell. So everything in a zoo tends to be around experience senses, sensory experiences. You see sight and you touch animals and whatever. Um, and not very often do you get to smell nice things. Like you can smell the giraffes and you can smell the pandas, but you can't actually smell anything nice. So I just put some aloe vera out the front, partly because it's orange and yellow as well, and the reds sort of complement what we're trying to achieve color-wise, color palette. But yeah, mainly for the smell. It's dark. Mainly for the smell. So I just spammed a couple of those around. They are just copied and pasted. They're not individually built, but they just sort of break up this pathway a little bit, and it's something that was needed. And the same with the plaza area. It sort of leads people into the Panda exhibit, especially when we deal with whatever's going to be over here. It needs a bit of like separation, a bit of direction. And then when you come into the Panda exhibit, it's not much has changed. I've just kitted it out with the stuff that it needs. So it's got benches now. It's got some pot plants, and I stole the idea from the giraffe house, so it's consistent. Load of education boards, a few panda boards, and I just need to put the sound in. I haven't put the speakers in yet, but so that's going to come. Along here, nothing has changed. The roof is exactly the same. And we walk along. I've just put some picnic benches in here so you can come and eat by the pandas if you want. And then again, this is just an open space with a few benches that you can look out into. I kind of wanted to keep this an open space because I know that when baby and high-rated pandas come to the window, guests will flock to this area, and this area gets really, really busy. So you don't want to be bogging it down with loads of stuff that's in the way. So I just wanted to keep that like really clear. I put a gift shop at the end because the game loves it when guests are happy and they go and buy stuff almost straight away. So yeah, it's worth having that. I did toy with having an information thing as well, but down this side of the park, a lot of the guests have already purchased information, or they've already purchased stuff they need, and plus there's another one over in the giraffe habitat anyway, so there's not one too far away. They can just go down there if they want to. And so yeah, I kept it all wood in here. I wanted the modern wood for the front, and then the logs to give it that sort of Asian foresty, bamboo-y type effect. Didn't use the bamboo because it's climbable, so I had to keep it sort of non-climbable, keeping it functional. And then I've just used the supporting pillars as well, just to key off the skirting of this, and it looks good. I quite like it. It's got a bit of a mountainy vibe to it more than anything else, so this would also lend itself quite well to like a grizzly habitat or something like that. And then if we move into the actual habitat itself, I've just done the touching up work. I've put quite a bit of vegetation down, sort of like brackeny type stuff, and ferns that are just like growing. The pandas are very much a fan of that. I've accentuated this gap as well. I've brought the wall down slightly, so it's now a more obvious gap. So it doesn't just now look like the wall was just badly placed. I've made it more obvious, and I've also just put a trim across the top as well, just to sort of level off that wall. And then I've just put some more stuff down here, and I've sorted out some of the terrain painting as well. So I've added some sand, I've softened up some of the soil, and I've put some rock stuff down as well. And then I've also just weathered around things where the pandas are likely to be playing or walking a lot or whatever. So like around enrichment items and around entryways and stuff. I've just sort of roughened up that terrain. And then I've just put these bits of foliage in, like trees. So that tree goes up to the skylights quite nicely. Put in some cherry blossom just for some colour, because it's quite nice to have that bright, vibrant colour. And then a lot of the reeds just to bulk out and hide some of the transitions between ground and rocks and stuff. Added the bedding so they're happy and they're comfortable. Added a couple of water points, a few enrichment items down here, and again just some bulk vegetation just to sort of bulk it out. And this time I've used the long grass. So the pandas actually like the long grass. It's one of the few animals that actually do that. You don't have to sort of go around and shorten the grass or anything. So I've just used the long grass just to pad out and bulk out some of the flesh, not flesh, bulk out some of the vegetation that we've got. Then coming to the outside, this is quite bland actually. It's not really much to write home about. It's a couple of trees. It's a couple of like this again, bulking out stuff. A couple of rocks. And there's a couple of enrichment items I think out here. And then you've also got some water as well. But I've paid very close attention to the placement of the trees. So there are no trees that are close enough to the edge of the perimeter fence that they could climb up and jump over, because they do. And if you look on YouTube videos, you can see them doing it. They're actually quite agile pandas for very larger, slower moving animals that don't seem very graceful. They've actually got quite a lot of grace and power to them. So I've made sure that there's no climbable trees or anything. I don't think they climb them in game. I haven't seen them up in a tree, but I know that it's a bit like the giraffes actually. Like they don't interact with trees in the way they would do in real life. But yeah, so I've just made sure that that's the thing. And likewise, I've tried to keep the amount of shrubberies and this bulking out away from the fence as well, just because they stand a chance of climbing up on the fence. They can't in game. It's a non-traversable area, but in real life, they would potentially be able to climb into the bush and up on, because that's what they do. And then I've just done a real small starter. I think this is going to change when we put the elephants in, but a starter area for a backstage area. So obviously with the elephants going in, there's going to be an area where there's going to be a shed and there's going to be pens and stuff for the elephants where you can keep them separate, and that's going to be in this sort of area. So I've just started to put this together. Staff path comes down the side here and out into the main building. I didn't want it to come out onto the plaza area. I wanted it to come through here just because it keeps it away. And I've started to put the fence in, and I just made a building. It's nothing special, it's just your breeze block. I wanted to use something different. We've used concrete quite a lot, so I just put the breeze block in instead. A couple of lights and a couple of AVAC units, or HVAC units, whatever they're called. The bins and the pallets and just some stuff like clutter just out the front. So yeah, I just wanted to give that accent a little bit of backstage area there. And then looking back from this side, again the profile on the skyline looks quite good as you're walking back from. So we have to imagine that the elephants are already in, so ignore the whatever. But the accent on the actual sightline is good, especially now with the awning. The awning creates like that new sightline, that new way of looking. And so if we walk down this way, you can see that it sort of opens up and you can look down as well. So yeah, it's nice little sightline. So the area has turned out quite nice actually. That you've got your giraffes on your left hand side and you've got your pandas on the right hand side as you're walking this way, and you can sit out at the front of the panda habitat and you can have some food if that's what you want to do, or you can carry on round and look at whatever's going to be over there. I don't think it's going to be a dangerous animal. I don't think I'm going to do something like a cheetah, but I've got the space to. I was thinking more, well, as you know, monkeys or bobos or orangutans or something like that. But yeah, I suppose the area would lend itself to a cheetah. But I was thinking the monkeys because they don't require a lot of visible contact to see, whereas the cheetahs would. You want quite a big exhibit for the cheetahs. So I need to see how the elephants are going to come along, see what space we've got, and go from there. But that's pretty much everything then from this side of the zoo so far. So we've built in the last couple of episodes all of this giraffe exhibit and habitat and the building that sits behind it, and now we've got pandas. Look at that. Doesn't it look good? Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for getting to the end of this video and listening to my ramblings for so long. You know what to do if you want to know about the next episode that's coming. Press the subscribe button, ring the bell. leave a comment down below, leave a like, and I'll respond. This is what I like to do. I like to chat to you all, so feel free to chat away. Otherwise, I will see you for the next episode, episode 11. And look, just on time, it's raining. What a surprise. Take care, everybody. I'll speak to you soon.